Dusty from Dusty Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I am here with a very much overdue update. Today is Friday, June 28th, 2019. It's been a few weeks. Yeah, so let's get into that real quick. So my last video went up shortly after my anniversary at the beginning of June. In the interim, I did upload that sort of spreadsheet extravaganza, and so just a real quick thank you here to everybody who watched that and enjoyed it. I'm kind of surprised that that so many of you enjoyed it. I knew that there would be a few, but yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by the reception of that. So thanks y'all for checking that out and for not banishing me for my numbers geeky weirdness. Over the last 3 weeks here in Virginia, it has been forecasted to be overcast and rainy / thunderstorms practically every day. And I don't like the videos that I put out when it's like that. I have some lighting that helps my light situation here, but I just don't like it when it's overcast. Not a fan. And so I just decided to hold off and wait for a sunnier day. So this week, projected to be sunny all week. And why are we here on Friday? The long story short is that I have had a comedy of errors. I tried to film on Wednesday. As I was prepping, I got a headache. And it started to get bad enough to where I was seeing spots and things. So forget it. Never mind. Yesterday was a story and a half. I'm not going to go into it, but we had a pop-up thunderstorm that we weren't supposed to have, of course, because East Coast, Virginia, that's my life. And then technology failed me. And we'll end it there, because if I talk about it anymore, I'm going to get salty. And I don't want that to be the tone of the video. Because y'all watching this right now can look at how long this video is. I know you know it's a long one. I know, despite the fact that I'm here at the beginning of it, that it's a long one. Because it's been 3 weeks. I have a bajillion and 3 projects to show you. I have Holy Haul Batman. I contemplated waiting and sort of saving some extraneous topics for next time. But I thought it's been a while since I've done a movie, and to be honest, this is providing some necessary distraction. For me, it's distracting me from watching and seeking out every StitchCon 2019 related picture on Instagram, picture on Facebook, videos on Instagram, stories on Instagram. I've become a little bit addicted to watching the events unfold. I am feeling the icky FOMO. Yeah. You know you're missing out. I'm feeling it. I feel like I made a mistake by not attending. So it's a necessary distraction for me. But it also may be a necessary distraction for you all. If you are also not at StitchCon, then here's a couple hours where you don't have to think about it. Here's a couple hours where I'm going to show you a whole bunch of things, and we can just all look at the pretties together. If you are at StitchCon, then maybe on Monday or Tuesday you'll be feeling that StitchCon hangover, that post-retreat hangover. It's not fun, that post-retreat hangover. So maybe this will help distract you from that. Maybe. That's my wish. It's a necessary distraction. So we're just going to go through it all. Well, I take that back. There's a couple of things that we're not going to do today. I do have some Q&A from my last update video that I pulled, but I would really like to go to the spreadsheet video and pull any Q&A from that, and then I will save Q&A for next week. There's also one question that I have that requires a little demo. I haven't done that yet, so we'll do Q&A next week. The other thing that I'm going to do next week is, goodness willing, if I can film, there are a whole host of events kicking off July 1st. I don't know if y'all heard, but I'm a joiner, and I have joined all of the events, and a lot of them get going at the beginning of July. Just to name off a few, 24 Hours of Cross Stitch, the July Acrostic. 24 Hours of Cross Stitch has 2 others this month that I am contemplating, thinking about. School of Magical Stitches has their monthly or school yearly, so to speak, stitching extra credit and reading extra credit that I could talk to you about. But I'm going to save all of that for next week. Partly because if I do get to film next week, then it's going to be a real fast turnaround, and so I might need some more content for that. It also has to do with the fact that I haven't exactly ironed out everything in plans. So I have some general ideas about plans this week, but as far as those specific events are concerned, I will save that for our next go round. So that's kind of where we're headed here. If you are watching this and you aren't all about the long videos, I encourage you to check in the description box. Towards the bottom, I do timestamps. I put in my little divider slides for each of the segments of my videos, and I do timestamps. So if you're on a PC or a laptop, you can click on those times and it will take you directly to the segment. So if you would like to pick and choose which segments you watch, I highly recommend using that. For those of you who like the movies, here you go. I am here to please. So without further ado, let's get started talking about something that might come as a little bit of a surprise. Over the last few weeks, my FlossTube watching has been inconsistent. I found a station on Pandora that is film scores, and I have been kind of obsessively listening to that. It's a lot of Pirates of the Caribbean and Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, and I don't care because I like the music for all of those, and so I've just been listening to that a lot these last few weeks. I'm trying to get better, and so you will see a few channels listed in my what I've watched this week, but it's not extensive as what it could be for 3 weeks of watching, shall we say. However, one of the videos that I did start, and I haven't finished it yet, but it is Michelle from Cozy Egg. Her latest, I think it is called Challenged, if I'm not mistaken, in which Michelle takes a few minutes to tell us about a challenge that was set forth. I think it was by her Quilt Guild, and I could be speaking nonsense at this point. But it was a challenge set forth by what I think was her Quilt Guild, and the presenters basically said that it was that they were putting forth this challenge in which you are to take stock of your works in progress. And of course they were applying it to quilting specifically, but then Michelle expanded it to stitching as well. And they said, you know, a lot of us want to bury our heads in the sand and pretend like we don't know what the monster is. I have a real-time, I know how many whips I have. I know the monster that is living in my closet. I'm aware of my personal situation. And they said to take stock of what you've got and determine if these are things that you want to finish. Determine if they are things that you maybe want to give away, or maybe rip out and repurpose those materials for something else. Figure out what you want to do with these things, but have a handle on what you've got and what you've got going. And so Michelle is talking about this, and I am applying it to myself. I am sort of taking stock myself and thinking about my whips. I have said it for several years that I would really like to whip down. I would really like to get down to, 20 whips would be magical to me, if I'm totally honest with myself. And as of today, I'm in the 60s. So that it's going to take a lot for me to get down to that magic number, so to speak. So I'm listening to what Michelle is saying, and she's talking about some things that maybe she doesn't really feel the need to finish anymore. Or some things that it would take a couple of days to just knock that project out and get it off the list. So I thought about this for a little while. I continued about my day. I didn't take any actions. At that point, I didn't do anything. Later that evening, I sat down and I looked at my list of whips and I said, okay, is there anything here that I could just knock out and finish? Is there anything here that I don't care about? Is there anything here that I would like but differently? And what I came up with were 4 projects. 4 projects that I am not happy with for one reason or another. They were started for the wrong reasons, or they were started using materials that do not satisfy what the vision in my head, or etc. 4 projects. So I notated them. On my whip spreadsheet, which you may have seen if you watched that, I notated which ones that was. And then I walked away. I wasn't going to make any rash decisions. I wasn't going to chuck them out the window into a thunderstorm. I was just contemplating this, mulling it over. I like to finish things. If I've started it, if I have curated the materials, if I have put in the time and effort over for some of these years, I would like to just finish it. That's kind of like my auto response. You started it, you finished it. Now I have UFO'd some projects over the years. There is no denying that. But I thought that I had curated my list of whips down to where I was completely happy. So I thought about this for a couple days, and then I tried to stop thinking about it. And then I was in my whips working on planning for July, and these 4 things stood out to me as I definitely don't want to work on them. And then I'm like, okay, so why? Why am I keeping them? If they're not even a part of the conversation for planning for July, why am I keeping them? I'm not anymore. I have UFO'd 4 things. They are either eligible for a restart, ideally for a restart, or maybe not. I just am not happy with these projects in my list of whips. They are taking time away from those projects that I really would like to work on. Now, I will tell you that I am not 100% happy with all of my whips. Like, if I could get rid of a few to just toss them, I would. But some of them are so close to done that honestly, it would just feel good to just finish them. These ones still have quite a ways to go, and so it makes no difference. And so, you will sort of see that. So yeah, I've UFO'd a few things. And I thought that it was going to make me feel funky. I thought that I was going to be like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. And if I can just take a second to express the relief. It felt so good to clear this stuff out. It felt so good. So here we go. I'm going to go through the 4 things that I have UFO'd, and I will try to briefly explain why. Okay, this first one, I started for the wrong reasons almost 3 years ago, and it's not the aesthetic that I would go for this theme. So this is Halloween and Quilt by Kure e Batikure. This is a beautiful design. The designer does some really cool things. It's cute. This is really cute. And I don't gravitate towards the super cute stuff. Kawaii has never been my thing. It's just not my taste. To each their own. And this is kind of a kawaii take on Halloween. And I just like my Halloween a little bit darker. So this is a no-brainer. When I finished my 5-day rotation on Beauty and the Beast, this joined my list of whips for the year. And I have zero interest on working on it. There are challenges galore where I could make this fit, and I didn't want to. I didn't even want to put the 5 days into it to then move on to the next one. I just didn't feel like it. Why is this project taking away from the Halloween pieces that I really love? It's not anymore. I'm done. There's nothing wrong with the pattern. It's beautiful. And there's nothing wrong with the fabric on this one. This is cream Belfast linen from Zweigart, which is kind of a staple in the Jessie Marie Does Stuff repertoire. I just don't care to finish this. I don't care to put in the time for this, and so I'm not going to. Okay, this next one, I really thought about a lot. This is 28 count antique white cachet linen. And on here is a Mania 2017 start. This is an Enchanted January by the Kohler Design Studio. This is coming from the book Carousel Horses in Cross Stitch. I started this during Mania 2017 when I first did the Blimey Cat method for Stitch Mania. In addition to that, Brittany she worked on a carousel horse a few years ago with this Sal that I got all storyteller on. And so I thought that I would start one of them during Mania 2017. And I started with January, which is Brittany's birthday month. So it just all came together. And so this saddens me a little bit that I'm not going to be working on this anymore. But only very slightly. At the beginning of the year, when I toned down my list of whips to those that I was focusing on this year, this was supposed to be my Kohler Design Studio project. It was supposed to be. And at the last minute, I decided, no, I'm going to swap for the other one. And I have since then decided that I'm keeping the other one in my whips regardless of my goal. I was never going to get to this year because I didn't want to. I didn't want to. This requires like 18 spools of Krynic, and I'm just not in a space where I really want this. I would like to stitch it eventually, but now is just not the time. And I don't want it sitting in my list of whips when I could use this fabric for some other things. So this is being put to the side. These next two are going to surprise y'all a little bit, I think. So they are Jingles, and Tingles by Lizzie Kate. So this one stood out to me. I'll be honest, when I was listening to Michelle at the onset of all of this thing popped up. First thing that popped into my head was Jingles by Liz Kate. And the reason that I have added these to the UFO pile is fabric related. Y'all, I really wish that I could be somebody who could stitch on anything. I wish that I could be that brave. I wish that I wasn't so particular, but I am. I am particular about the materials that I use. And these are both on witch out linens, and I just cannot with witch out linens anymore. I've talked about it in the past with the oils in my skin. I rust through needles at an alarming rate. It's real fast that those needles get tarnished. And when the needle gets tarnished and I'm drawing it through this crunchy, dry fabric, that sensation, sound and feel, it's like shoots right up my spine. I can't stand it. I can't stand it so much that like the memory of it is enough. I can't stand it. So why am I doing this again? Listen, I won the charts for this, as well as the fabric from Terrace way back when, years ago, 2014 maybe. And so I felt compelled to stitch it on this material. Not to mention, these designs are super long. Oh, you're getting the back. They're super long. So a material that's been cut specifically for it, that's great. Good to go. I can't stand this fabric. So then when I decided to start Tingles, rather than be smart and stitch it on a fabric that I enjoyed, I pulled the called for because Jingles was on the called for, and so I should put Tingles on the called for. But why? Why am I subjecting myself to this? I have loved stitching these, but the prospect of just dealing with this fabric anymore, I just don't want to. I don't want to. And I'm not about to spend time on projects where I feel I don't want to. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Logically speaking, there is no logic to it. So, not today, but at some point in the future, I may be giving these away, along with the floss. Jingles uses most of the called for Weeks Dye Works. I made one substitution, and I have none of the duplicates. So several colors, you need multiple skeins. But I just have single skeins of each of these. Tingles, I completely changed the color palette. It stays pretty close to the called for, but I definitely substituted some things for threads from Stash. And I'm going to send all of that along with a list of what I've used where along with this. This is not happening today. I'm not giving these away today. They are also not coming with the charts. Just a heads up. I still intend to stitch them just on a fabric that's going to make me happier. These first 3 blocks on Jingles, these first 2 blocks on Tingles do not have their charms or buttons. So if you are interested in this, you will have to source your own for those. Just a heads up, just to let you know. Because I'm keeping those for myself. For my own, when I get to them. So really, this is, I'm saying all of this because if you would like these, if you would like them, if you've got the charts and you want this and all the floss, or do with what you will, and you can scrap and use this fabric for whatever you want, and the threads, hey, hand dyes are great. Just mention in the comments below that you might be interested in this. Again, I am not doing a giveaway today. I'm just sort of gauging interest at this point. Because I know that these are pretty popular designs. They're well loved throughout the stitching community. And so I know that some of y'all may want this. With the other two, one of them is a digital chart, and so I will not be sending, I guess I could send that, and then you just have to buy the chart yourself. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Long story short, that's what's going on here. I will restart these. I would really like to restart them, but I'm just not stitching them now. Not as they are. Not like this. So in UFOing those projects, there have been some sort of implications in my whips. First of all, WhipGo. Jingles was on my WhipGo board. I have off-screen randomly chosen a different project to sub in for that. Not Quite White Work was a part of my 2019 whips, but it was not, it did not make the WhipGo board, so that has subbed in for Jingles, just so you know. Let's see, what else? Halloween and Quilt was in my 2019 whips because that is no longer in my whips. Quotes to Live by Stitchrovia is now in my whips for the year. So just, those are some repercussions. I don't have a Lizzie Kate at this point. So I am down to 64 whips and 29 active whips for 2019 currently. And I feel pretty good about it. I can put the time and effort into the things that I really, really like, that I want to finish. And some of these things, like I've said, I'm not super in love with the projects anymore, but I'll get it finished and I'll have the finish. It may not go any further than that. It may never reach FFO status, and that's okay. I finished the thing. That's enough for several of these. So anyway, 4 UFOs. I am whipping down one way or another. And so yeah, there you have it. So let's go ahead and switch over, and I'm going to show you the things that I have worked on and that I have super, super loved working on. Okay, works in progress. Here we go. Just to preface, there's a lot here. I've worked on quite a few things over the last few weeks for a ton of events. I'm a joiner. I am in most of the counting challenges, if not all of them. Certainly the big ones. And I cannot recall what I worked on for everything. It's just not gonna be possible. Not to mention, these are all things that are well in the past. We are focused on the present and the future, and so I'm sure that most of y'all don't really care. So, a wash. I'm not going to be able to explain everything that I've worked on. In addition to that, I worked on things multiple times, and so none of this is going to be in truly chronological order. I've tried as best I could, but there is definitely going to be some up and down. But again, it doesn't matter. So, shall we get started? Let's do. When I last spoke to you, back at the beginning of the month, I was working on Avarice by Marcia Dalek and Heaven and Earth Designs. And I was working on this for my anniversary. This is an inactive whip for the year, but I do pull it out for my anniversary so that I can put in a little bit of love on it. This was a gift. The chart and all of the threads were a dating anniversary present from my then boyfriend, now husband. So I work on it around our anniversary. I am stitching this on a 25 count Easy Grid Lugana from Zweigart, and when we talked, I the goal was to put in 800 stitches on this to represent the 8 years that Danny and I have been together. And so I thought that I was going to have no problem reaching that. Well, I didn't quite reach that. I think I got a total of 600. If I remember right, editing that day, I took a nap in the middle of editing. And so I didn't stitch a whole lot more after my video that week. So it's okay. I did work on this, and that's fine by me. And I did reach a milestone. So I ultimately decided to work across this top row here, and these few stitches here are in page 2. So in the 2 years since I've started it, I have finally reached the side of page 2. A long way to go yet on page 1, and certainly on the whole thing. But nonetheless, I reached that point at the very least. This is in background. I'm stitching with 2 or 3 colors at the most in each of these blocks. So they go real fast, and it's going to be stunning. I cannot wait for some significant progress on this. Nonetheless, I got to work on that for a little bit, and it goes back into the inactive whips until probably this time next year. That's the way it goes. Too many other goals. Okay, so after that following weekend was 24 hours of cross stitch, the marathon event. So Jen has expressed how difficult it is to try to navigate the language between the two, between the June monthly challenge and the marathon stitching event. But the stitch 24 hours in 48 was that following weekend. I had told you guys that I was planning on doing 31 hours. I managed 23. So that's kind of a bummer. But I learned some things about these marathons and how to adjust in the future if I want to be more successful. But nonetheless, so here's what I worked on during that. Okay, so ultimately what I decided to do was to create a wheel to try to choose what I was going to be working on and when. And the first thing that the wheel chose might be a little bit of a surprise because I didn't talk about this as an option, but this is Owl by Mill Hill for by Jim Shore for Mill Hill, or something like that. And I had talked about the June monthly challenge acrostic in 24 hours of cross stitch, and how this was my other option for O. And as I mentioned, I was doing 1,200 stitches in each of these, but I didn't have 1,200 stitches left. Rose Fairy, just the chances of getting 3 tasks done with that one project, I just didn't think it was doable in the time span. And so I did decide to relegate O to Owl. And so this was the first project that came up for 24 hours of cross stitch. I decided to call this 4 hours. So I did change the goal on this one. It was originally obviously the 1,200. I did not have 1,200 stitches. So I gave it 4 hours or 240 minutes to satisfy that part of the June monthly challenge. 4 hours was not enough. I needed 4 hours on Friday night and another 4 hours Saturday morning, but nonetheless, finished. Super excited about it. I contemplated putting this away Friday night and then starting with something fresh on Saturday morning, but I had already started on the beads on Friday night, so I was like, finished during 24 hours? I will take it. I'm about it. So he's my derpy little owl friend. His coloring is very strange. This pink bit in his chest and the color on his face, I don't get it, but hey. There's also some strange backstitch lines going on in this wing over here that are kind of willy-nilly. I don't know. It's a little funny looking. But nonetheless, he's finished. Super cute. And I need to FFO him. He's going to be an ornament for my Christmas tree this year. The unfortunate thing is that this is my last Mill Hill kit currently on the go. So if I need headache stitching, I'm going to have to either have a new start or not stitch or figure something out. So we'll see how it goes. But nonetheless, there is that. This was Year of Whips project. I think it was finished number 11 for Year of Whips, and I believe it was finished number 6 for the year. I think so, but don't quote me on that. So there is that. Okay, so I finished up Owl, and I hit the wheel again, and this time it pulled up In This Moment by Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Jeremiah Kettner. So here is what she will look like finished. And I'm going to show a little bit of haul here because of this new needle minder. I was shopping at Heather, the Imperfectly Perfect Stitcher. Her shop is the IPS needle minders on Etsy, linked below. I love her stuff. And I was buying a couple of other things, but no needle minder should travel alone. So I was looking around at some other things, and I happened upon this. When I first saw these keyhole ones, I was like, oh, those are cool, but, you know, nothing for me. And then I looked a little bit closer. I call this project Mika McKenna. And that's a Pepe. Not only is that a Pepe, but it's a peeping Pepe. Do you see that? It's perfect. I love it. So that is, it had to come home with me. I learned very quickly that this was a bad idea. It was a bad idea for me to work on this. First of all, I was at the start of a new page, and new page goes slow. On top of the fact that I had to grid. So I spent a good half hour, 45 minutes gridding during 24 hours of cross stitch. That was a bummer. And on top of that, just to emphasize the issues, I'm on the top row of pages. And so this always goes slow. It always slows me down. So I didn't get a whole lot done in a lot of hours. It took me probably 8 hours to do this 570 stitches. So pan back here so that y'all can see all of her currently. And then here's where I got to on page 5. So 3 diagonals. And those 3 diagonals were hard won. I normally like to work across the top of the page like I showed you with Avarice, and I couldn't do it with this because I was in 24 hours of cross stitch. I wanted to get progress as quickly as possible. I just wanted to see some significant movement with the piece, and adding in threads constantly like I have to do along the top versus parked threads, I'll take the parked threads. So there you have it. The downside is that this design in particular, you see how along the top here it's very purples and reds and blues, and then it almost immediately goes into oranges and then into yellows. So I am still, there's lots of confetti and lots of color changes going on there. Yeah, it was madness. Super bad idea to do this for the marathon. Now, a subsequent page, no problem. An already started page would be great, especially if I've already got some momentum with it. That would be awesome. I'd be totally about it. But never again will I do a top page for a brand new start page for a stitching marathon. A part of the reason that I didn't get a whole lot done during 24 hours is I was hanging out with virtual stitchers for a good majority of it, and I told them, I said, much love to you guys. I would have done so much more stitching, but it wouldn't have been near as much fun had I not participated. So anyway, there is In This Moment. I I am way behind on my by the numbers challenges. June 2400 is in progress with about 570 stitches in it. So I'll get that taken care of in July for sure. After in this moment, once I finally got that last block on the third diagonal done, I was like, all right, I'm done. I've got to switch to something where I can make some good progress. So I did switch, and the next project that I worked on was Forever and Ever by Cottage Garden Samplings. I'm going to show you that last because I'm currently working on it. So we'll come back to that here in a minute. Okay, so for me, 24 hours of cross stitch ended at like 2 in the afternoon on Sunday, even though it was supposed to go till at least 4. I stopped stitching at 2. Danny came home from his brother's. He brought me Chipotle, a food coma, and subsequent nap ensued, and I didn't stitch anymore that day. I could have kept going on Forever and Ever, because you all know I love that project, but I was really kind of in the mood for making some progress on something and getting it finished. On top of that, I think that following Monday was the start of my rotation, and my first Whip Go Focus rotation, I think. Don't quote me. And so I was ready to get to this project. And this project in question is Queen Anne's Lace by Nora Corbett. So you'll be seeing a preview of what it looks like finished, and here she is finished. Now let's take a second and talk about pronouns. I have told you guys that this is my drag queen. She is Queen Anne's Lace. And pronouns, when you are referring to the drag community, it can get a little hazy. So to refer to her as a she is making some assumptions. However, what I have been told, when I was in college, I worked with a guy who did dress and drag on the weekends, and for the life of me, I cannot remember what his stage persona is, and I wish that I could because it was fabulous. But anyway, he told me that when he is in drag, when he has taken on the persona of his character, of who he is in drag, he prefers to be called she at that point. And if he is not in drag, then he prefers to be called a he. So I have taken that and run with it for this. The question has come up. Jess, I thought you said that was a drag queen. Why do you keep referring to it as she? Because she's a she, as in drag. Just thought that I would mention that. Just a quick PSA. It's personal, it's preference, but that's what I took from the conversation that I had with somebody that I used to work with. So, as I said, this is Queen Anne's Lace. Roger, by day, Queen Anne's Lace by night and weekends. And I absolutely love this. I'm so excited about having it finished. She is blingy as all get out. Can you all see that sparkle? Yeah. This is done on 28 count Crystal Wren by Picture This Plus, so it's opalescent. I don't have an official count of beads. I think there's like 1,000 in some, but I always have a count going of beads, but I lost my tally of them, and I was stitching as I went and beading as I went, and so I don't have an official count, but that's all right. Somewhere around 1,000 for a little design. I stitched this according to the pattern. The only changes that I made are that, of course, I subbed the beads for Delica's. The Mill Hills would fit just fine, but nonetheless. And I also stitched her skin 1/1, as I do. I got my pattern from the April 2016 issue of Just Cross Stitch magazine. If you are stitching this from the April 2016 issue of Just Cross Stitch magazine, then a couple of notes. First of all, these beads along the side of the wing here, there's an error in the chart, and those are supposed to be the darker ones, just like these other wings. So this darker purple bead along the bottom side of each of the wings, it's supposed to be that color, not the pink as it says in the chart. Just a heads up. I discovered this after I stitched them and I wasn't ripping them out. The other thing is that the magazine does not tell you that you need 2 spools of Kreinik. I'm here to tell you that you need 2 spools of Kreinik. First of all, it's one of those Kreiniks that's super braided, and so it frays like crazy. It frays like crazy. The chart calls for 28 count. This is 28 count, and I had to dip into my second spool twice, I think, to get it all finished. You use the Kreinik in the wings. You can see this pale pink outer edges of the wings, and also on her legs. She's wearing tights, so just a heads up. I debated on whether I was going to stitch the tights or switch it out for skin. However, it kind of reminded me of something. So Kreinik is crunchy. It's got texture to it, right? The whole reason that I think of Queen Anne's Lace as a drag queen is that back in 2016 when I started her, for my brother's birthday, we went to Perry's in DC, which is a well-known drag location, and we went to drag brunch for his birthday. And it's so much fun. It's an absolute blast. Highly recommend check out a drag brunch. One of the performers came over to our table, and while she was doing her number, threw her leg up over the table and basically plopped it in my brother's hands. And she twerked and she danced while my brother is holding her leg in the air. And it was phenomenal. So then she continued on down the hall of the performance area and continued with what she was doing. As she's walking away, we all look at my brother and we're like, how was that? And he goes, it's kind of prickly. So the texture of the Kreinik on her legs, it had to be there. Just had to be there. I also changed her shoes. She is outlined here with 718, and it had you using a different color for the shoes. I thought that was kind of strange, so I just made it all 718. The shoes are all in 718, as is the backstitch. A minor thing, but nonetheless. So yeah, there's my girl. She is finished. My last Nora Corbett. I don't have any Noras on the go right now. And that's really weird, but nonetheless, that's how it goes. I did not make Annette's deadline. I think I worked on her an additional 4 days here in June on top of the 7 that I put in May. So yeah, I did not make that deadline. But as you can see, she's super blingy, and that takes some time. So there's Queen Anne's Lace. And I am shopping for a frame. What color frame do y'all think? I don't know. I was thinking a white one, just so that her colors can stand out. Not sure. So anyway, I'll keep an eye out for a frame for her and get that done. Following Queen Anne's Lace, I had a task to do for the Semi-Sane Stitchers District Games. And as I said, I'm not really talking about the events that I've participated in, but this one is pertinent because I had no intentions of working on this, but I'm really glad I did. So this was Sheep Heap by Plum Street Samplers, the first in my Animal Stacks quartet that I'm doing all together. And I'll show the project and then I'll explain here in a second. This is on 32 count Belfast in Colonial Parchment from Hand Dyed by Stephanie. And so I worked on this sheepy guy here. So District Games, District 8 was the textiles district. And for one of the tasks, it was to stitch on, no specific stitch count, just stitch on something that could be turned into clothes. And with the way that this month is going, I've got more goals than time. And I wasn't about to pull out another project to try to meet this challenge. I just wasn't feeling it. It was too much effort for something. However, I finished Queen Anne's Lace on Saturday. I wasn't really feeling like moving to anything else for just Sunday. So I pulled this out and I thought, well, I'll just work on this on Sunday, see what I get done, not a big deal. So that's what I did. I pulled it out on Sunday. And I was chosen for District 8, which I'm super excited about. Like, textiles, I mean, we're cross-stitchers, so, like, materials and fabrics and things are kind of important to us, right? So I was really excited to find out that I was chosen, that I made some time to work on this so that I could claim being a part of it. And my district sister, Christine, I'm super stoked about the district games now. Huge relief to get chosen for something. So I worked on Sheep Heap. I put in a little effort. It's not going to take a whole lot to get that block finished the next time I work on it, whenever that is. After Avarice, so after my Hade week, but before 24 hours of cross stitch, I was working on Rose Fairy by Joan Elliott. Starting on the 6th, that was the beginning of my oldest whip rotation. And my oldest whip currently is Rose Fairy by Joan Elliott. So here is what she will look like finished. The reason I'm showing this now is that I have since worked on her again to try to get some goals accomplished. I believe that I got back to Rose Fairy after Sheep Heap. I made the decision towards that point that I was going to spin my projects based on the goals that I have for them, and just work on them until I got the goal reached. And this one I needed stitches for. We'll go with that. So I worked on this, I think, for a total of 5 days this month, if my math is right, and I did reach all of my goals. So this is on 28 count Lugana in Confetti by Picture This Plus, and I did something crazy, as you can see. I gridded up to the top. I gridded wrong twice. My grid line went a half a stitch over, like started at point A and point B was half a stitch over. I miscounted, and then once I finally had the gridding correct, I started stitching, and I started stitching in the wrong place, so I had to frog out. Like, whew, this is dangerous. But here's ultimately what I've decided. If my gridding is wrong, if she is misplaced up here, then I'll just make up for it in her stomach area. I can make up a half a stitch or a whole stitch in there. If she's too far up or too far down, what have you, then I can make up for it in her stomach area. I'm fairly confident that I'm in the right spot now because I counted and recounted and then recounted again. But just in case, I've got a fail safe. That's the fortunate thing about doing her skin 1/1 is that you'll never really notice if there's one extra row or one row too short. So there's that. And so I got her hair done and her skin 1/1 on her face. Also have her neck and chest done. You probably can barely see it, but there are a few 1/1 stitches here. That's not dirt, those are stitches of her hand that is holding this flower. They just blend in with this yellowy fabric. And then I've got her arm on this side done down to there. So I talked about chunking up this pattern so that I would have a goal line to do each month, and was my goal line here for June. I haven't quite finished it because there's still a little bit to be done here, and then of course there's a ton of backstitch, but nonetheless, I feel pretty good about the progress that I did make. So yeah, I love this. Can I just tell you guys that Joan Elliott skin tones, I'm peeved that they're all Caucasian. That bothers me. But the colors that she chooses for skin lend themselves so well to 1/1 that it's subtle and it's not harsh. I would bring up Queen Anne's lace, but if I let y'all look at that too closely, you're going to see some Nora Corbett shortcomings. And I don't want to do that. I want to focus on the pretty stuff. So, but let's just suffice it to say that Joan Elliott skin tones, the range of colors that she uses, lend themselves to 1/1 so much, and it just looks natural and soft, and it's not a harsh contrast. She needs a little backstitch for some definition, like her nose and maybe her jawline, but that's it. Like, it's not really dependent on the backstitch. She's gonna get a ton of backstitch. That's a Joan Elliott trademark, but nonetheless, she doesn't need it to try to draw attention away from the harsh color contrast. Anyway, I just thought that I would point that out. I love her. I absolutely love her. So, some of y'all are like, hey Jess, you're not done with that top section yet because there's still those wings. I don't think I'm doing the wings. I don't think I'm gonna do them. I have sort of two ideas about what I'm going to do with this when it's finished. I'm either going to keep it for myself or it's going to be a gift for my niece, who is 6 years old and obsessed with pink and purple. Obsessed. And like, obsessed. So this would be perfect for her. I have yet to decide if I'm actually going to do that or not, but it is an option on the table. And then I also kind of had the idea about maybe commissioning somebody to sew her a petal skirt in pink and purple. But who knows? We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Regardless, I'm not doing the wings. If it's for me, I don't like the wings. If it's for her, she'll never know the difference. So I'm just going to leave her as a barefoot girl trotting through the gigantic wild roses. Ann P said that I should change it so that she's holding a wine glass. So this hand is holding the flower, and the other hand is holding up her skirt here. Because I called her Rose for so long. Her nickname now is Rose. For my flowers ignorance. But if this is going to go to my niece, then maybe I don't want to do that. If I'm keeping it for myself, then I may try to find a wine glass charm and add it to her necklace here, because I think that would be fun. But, so we'll see how it shakes out. I feel so good about what I got done here. Real estate-wise, it's not a whole lot. But stitching-wise, I mean, that much skin done in this first rotation, I'm so here for it. All I have left is this arm that reaches down here. That's it. As far as, oh no, that's not true, because her stomach is bare. So a little bit to go, but not all of it. I'm getting there, and my prospect of finishing this in this year is looking pretty good. I like it. Okay, I think that after Rose Fairy, I worked on temperature balloons, but I'm going to show you that here in a minute because I've worked on it more recently. So after that, I think, was the Prairie Schooler alphabet. And I know that I worked on this for homework that week and for probably several other some things. It's irrelevant at this point. So because I am participating in all of the events, I have got lots of progress, but it looks like I can't decide what part to work on. I have a bunch of unfinished motifs in this. So this is on 40 count Newcastle in platinum from Zweigart. And y'all, like, I've got a bunch of unfinished things going on. So I worked primarily in C is for cow, but a little bit in D is for rum. I said that on purpose because that's why. I still haven't added the D yet. Anyway, so you'll see, like, my cow needs a head. The hooves aren't finished. The moon needs a chin. This leaf is part the way finished. I didn't even finish the word cow. And then down here, the flag still needs the white stripes. There's an unfinished leaf here. Obviously, it's drum, not rum. The drum itself, there's a few stitches of red over here. Like, it's madness and chaos. But like I said, I got a lot of progress. I think I did over 1,100 stitches on this in the matter of a few days. So I'm pleased with that. It's just, it's weird. It's super weird. I will talk about this here in a second, but this is going to come up in July, and so I am optimistic that I can get C is for cow at least closer to finished, which I think would be awesome. I loved this. So I did a lot of 1/1 skin on Queen Anne's lace, and then I was doing some 1/1 on Rose Fairy, and I was so excited to get to this to do some 1/2. But anyway, I love this, and I am feeling pretty good about it. I know that I started it 3 years ago, but I still feel pretty good about just making some regular progress this year. It's been good. Okay, we are getting very close to current. This was my homework for this week. I did not intend on working on this before the end of the month. Again, more goals than time. However, I was able to get all of the homework tasks applied to this one project, which I am all about. And then I was also using this project for some events in another group. So that project in question is Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. So 1/2 on Prairie Schooler, and then immediately to 1/2 on Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. But nonetheless, I was excited to get to work on this. I have been working in this block here. Pam from Pam and Steph has passed me. Just keep stitching. She has passed me, and she's working on this block now, so I've got to try to catch up. Now this project, I have the goal set to get 3 blocks done, and then I was going to put this away. I don't think I'm going to now. I think this is going to stay out and just be an active whip throughout the end of the year, because I always find a reason to work on it, and this is a huge whip, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I so look forward to getting to work on it. And like the prospect of putting this away potentially at the end of July, I'm not ready. So I'm probably not going to. I'm rewriting all my rules or canceling them. Anyway, so this is on 40 count Newcastle in Country Mocha from Zweigart. And here is where I am up to at this point. So I'm going to show you the whole thing, and then I'm going to fold in probably. I love this. Okay, so let me fold in. So I got just a good amount of stuff done, and I love this so much. So I finished up the moon. That big bright yellow moon is done. I came over here and worked some of the tree and border, some of these funky little leaves. Most of them are duotone, and there's like 6 colors altogether in amongst the leaves. So I got those started, and then I came down here, and I thought I was going to hate this. I thought that I was going to hate stitching this. And y'all, I had so much fun working on this that I almost finished the block. Like, I almost said, to heck with all of my other goals, I want to work on this. But I didn't. I was a good stitcher and I kept moving. I found an error, but it's a fudgeable error, so no big deal. If you can see it, you're standing too close. I'm obsessed. I really, really, really love how this is coming together. One of the tasks that I pulled this out for was something that makes you laugh, and I don't remember what. That was homework this week for the joke shop. And I said that these trees kind of remind me of emojis. The emoji and the getting ready to be sick emoji. So that's kind of fun. All of the skeletons kind of have a funny expression on their face. I mean, it's face. That's funny. But it's I don't think it's meant to be, but it just kind of makes me giggle a little bit. And then I noticed something about this block that really, really set me off in a laughing fit. First of all, my horse friend here has no tail. It's a bald horse. He also doesn't have a mane. At least not a stitched one. I mean, maybe we're just supposed to assume that the tail hair has flipped up and it's hiding somewhere in the cloak, maybe. Or this is just a general outline. I don't know. But then I had a look at our horseman. And with the angles of things, he is riding the rump of this horse. Like one of the widest points. He's sitting all the way back. Like his rear end is probably right there. It was ridiculous. And there's no saddle, there's no reins. I don't know how he's holding on. He must have thighs of steel. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. And since it's a bald horse, like, you can't even hold on to the mane. I find that amusing. So that was my laugh. And I love this. Love it, love it, love it. I may finish the block in July. I could have just finished it here in June, but here's something. Stitch from Stash is a lost cause. You'll see that here in a minute. And so there's no sense in me trying to get finishes here at the end of June and rush towards finishes when it's an impossible mountain to climb. So I will save that for July. Now we'll get to temperature balloons. So I needed this for the 24 hours of cross stitch challenge, and so I accomplished my goal on that portion, and then I have since worked on it. I am a part of a group that is closed. It is secret. You can't find it on Facebook. It is limited. It is exclusive. That sounds elitist, but it's just that it's being kept very small, not reaching the 1,000 member mark. So I hesitate to talk about it, but I am working on it for that. So I'll just tell you, it's the Daily 30 group. It is run by Cheryl of Tranquil Stitches. And I've decided to jump in head first. And so I am participating in Daily 30. And the project that I chose for that is my temperature balloons. So I have worked on this for 30 minutes. I put my phone on airplane mode or D&D or what have you. Do not disturb. That's what D&D means. And I set a timer for 30 minutes and I stitch and get done whatever I can get done in 30 minutes. And it has been phenomenal. It has been so good because I just put in 30 minutes and then I walk away and I continue on with whatever else I'm trying to work on in the day. I love it. So here's a generic mock-up. This is really just the shape of the thing. We are in this balloon here. When you saw this last, I was at the beginning of the April blocks. So I was towards this palest section here. And May ends here, and I am towards the bottom there. Yeah. So 1,200 stitches for the June cross stitch challenge in 24 hours of cross stitch, and then 30 minutes a day for the last few days. This is on my Q-snap because it's much easier to flip between projects if I've got something on a Q-snap. So there you have it. And I am just smitten with this. I love how it's looking. Let me see. Let me put something behind it, because that's what all the cool kids do when they've got their fabric stretched on a frame. So yeah. How cool is this? It's looking really cool. This balloon over here is colored so funky. And this one is really working out. I really am enjoying the way that it's coming together. You can see the progression of March into April, and then May. It's gotten pretty warm in Blacksburg. So this is being done based on the temperatures recorded in Blacksburg, Virginia. And these neon orangey sections, those represent the mid 80s. So, and actually the majority of this bottom row of the balloon is done in that color. So it was in the mid 80s pretty consistently towards the end of May in Blacksburg. And I love this. It's been so rewarding to work on it every day for just 30 minutes. I have a hard time making time for this project. Not because I dislike it, but just because it's black colors, and I don't know. For whatever reason, I have a hard time making time for it. And so I'm playing catch up here by doing this. I highly recommend, if you've got a project where you're not feeling it, or you're working on a tedious portion of it, set a timer and work on it just a little bit every day. Don't commit to try to get the whole border done on something massive in a day. Just work on it a little bit every day. Chip away at that mountain. That's what I'm doing with my balloons here. So I have a lot to catch up on. I have the majority of June here left to do. I still have a cloud that's up here and the basket for this balloon. So there's a lot to catch up on, but I'm working my way at it. Now, this is going to peek into plans a little bit, but this will not be my daily 30 moving into July, and I'll explain that here in a few minutes. Anyway, this is on 32 count Belfast in Snowdrifts from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie, and the design is by Stitchin' Mommy. She is on Etsy. I'll link her below. So much fun. Okay, y'all, just two projects left to go. After Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow, I spun my goals wheel. I have just 2 projects left on it, and it pulled Under the Moonlight by Passione Regamo. I will be totally honest with y'all. I wasn't feeling like working on this. I have stitched so much white girl skin this month. 1/1. She's massive. I was not in the mood for this when it came up. I tried to find a different project that I could use for you in the 24 hours of cross stitch June challenge, but I couldn't really find anything. I could have spun some story to try to make it work, but to be honest, I didn't have enough time for that. And I also needed something for one of the extra credit tasks in School of Magical Stitches, and it was something to be found in a lake, and you had to stitch on the thing. So I was having a really hard time trying to find something. Ultimately, I just decided to work on this. To compensate for that, because I wasn't feeling it, my goal for the 24 hours of cross stitch challenge was 1,200. I cut it down to the step below, which actually was just 120. But I needed 500 for School of Magical Stitches. So I did 500 stitches. That's not bad. My goal was to get the skin finished, but that was just not going to happen with the pace and with my feelings about it. It was just never going to happen. So I'm a little disappointed. But y'all wait for this. Here's what she looks like. I did 536 stitches, which is more than I put into her in the last 2 years combined. Isn't that wild? I mean, like, no wonder she's not finished because I have not made time for her. Yeah. So that's pretty staggering, and I need to keep reminding myself of that because, yeah, there's still skin to do on this, and I'm over it. I'm done. I would like to be done with this project. But I've made more progress already this year than I have in the last 2 years combined. So I'll just say it like a mantra. This is on 28 count Cashel and Lady of the Lake from Hand Dyed by Stephanie. She's massive. This is one of those projects where it's like, I just want it done. I just want to finish it. I am this far along, so I just want it over. I'm over it. She's never going to get framed. She's never going to get fully finished, but she'll be finished. Hopefully this year, but like, if not, okay, that's fine. Yeah, we'll see. Oh my gosh, we made it to the last whip. I'm so excited. Okay, so this is what I'm currently working on. It's my last goal of the month. I have to do an additional, on top of what I've already done, another 1,500 stitches between now and midnight on Sunday. I think I can do it. I think I can manage that. So that project is Forever and Ever by Cottage Garden Samplings. This is the Songbirds Garden series #1. I'm in love with this series. I'm in love with this chart. I love everything that Vinny does. Beautiful. This is being done on 32 count Belfast linen in Vintage Winter Sky by Lakeside Linens. And here is where I'm at. As I said, I worked on this for 24 hours of cross stitch, both for the marathon event and also I'm working on it for the June monthly challenge. I love this. I mean, what can I say? It's absolutely beautiful. That color of the fabric that you're seeing there, that's pretty close to accurate, right like that. If I bring it up like this, it kind of tones out a little bit. It's a wintry, bluey gray color. It's very aptly named. I'm doing this with the DMC threads, just so you know. So during 24 hours of cross stitch, I did this petal and this petal. This dark green in here, I ran out of. I was completely out of it, so I couldn't finish that leaf until now. I just recently finished that up, like this morning. And then starting yesterday, I built the cottage, finished that up today. I'm swooning over this. Every time I work on it, I absolutely adore it. It's just so darn pretty. So that is my Forever and Ever. As I said, I will continue to work on this through the end of the month because big goals. Okay, we did it. We made it through the whips that I have worked on. Let's switch over and let's talk about some plans. As I said, July is the start of a whole heap ton of things. Lots of events and stitching challenges and what have you. So I have some ideas about some things, but I will talk about that in more in depth next time. But here's kind of some general things. First of all, July is Joan Elliott July, and so I will definitely be working on Rose Fairy. That is a given. Her 5th birthday is on July 5th. So, and it works out perfectly to where I rearranged my rotation this month. So Rose Fairy is going to be actually my first rotation starting in July. So Monday morning, I'm going to get to going on Rose Fairy. And I'll work on that through the 5th. The 6th starts Full Coverage Fanatics, the Stitching the Tour de France. And so you can stitch ahead, but you can't start early. You have to wait until the 6th to start. So this is great. So I'm just going to flip-flop those 2 rotations, and I'll work on In This Moment on the 6th through the 10th, and see how far I can get. I'm going for the yellow jersey, and I cannot for the life of me remember what my stitch count is, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to go for that. And I can either chunk it up to work on it a little bit every day throughout the month, or throughout the event, or I can just stitch as I do and just get through it. So that's kind of my plan. I have decided to tentatively participate in bingo this month, and I don't know what came over me, as if I don't have enough going on, as if July isn't busy enough as far as stitching is concerned. Let's just tack on this humongous layer to it. So bingo is run by semi-sane stitchers, and each day they call 8 DMC numbers, and if you've got that number on your bingo board, then you stitch 50 stitches of it. I don't know what possessed me to do this, but nonetheless, here we are. So it's too late now. It's too late to back out. So here we are. And so I'm going to attempt it. We'll see how it goes. Because of that, in preparing for it, I had to know what I was working on in the month of July. And so I did my Whip Go spins off screen to myself about a week ago, maybe more than that, because I had to know what projects I was going to be working on so that I could then figure out which colors I was going to need for bingo. If you understand bingo, then you understand what I just said. If you are not at all, then it doesn't matter. Long story short, my Whip Go projects for July are Haunted House by Clouds Factory and the Prairie Schooler Alphabet. Because of School of Magical Stitches, I draw my Whip Go projects on a 2-month basis, and so I also drew those for August. And so just a heads up, the ones that were chosen were Spooky Countdown by the Primitive Hare and Nantucket Rose by Lavender and Lace. So those are going to come up in August, but we'll address that when we get there. Just thought that I should mention that. A few days ago, I got a message from Cheryl of Tranquil Stitches. And in no uncertain terms, she blamed me. Because she had decided what she was going to do for her birthday start. Her birthday's in July. And she had made the decision, and then I just went and changed all that. So I have been talking about the Blackbird Designs Anniversaries of the Heart, and Cheryl felt compelled to pull that project out and start that. And she let me know. She has the charts, and so she's ready to go as of Monday morning. She's going to start it July 1st. So then she got to work on me, and she said, "You should start it too. You should start it with me. We'll make it a thing, and I'm gonna make it my daily 30 project for the month of July, and maybe for the months moving forward to try to get a block done a month." And I thought, ooh, that's a really good idea. But I said, let me think about it, because no starts 2019, and I just need to see what my materials situation is. The thing about this piece is that it's massive. It's so big, and to try to trim down the size of it, I was thinking, okay, well, I'll do it on 40 count. 40 count, I could make it fit on a fat quarter. That would be great. Except there are some 1/1 sections in a lot of the blocks, and that is a little. That's kind of towing the line for me. I don't know how I feel about 1/1 on 40 count. So I took some time to think about it, And ultimately what I decided is that I'm not going to start Anniversaries of the Heart. I had kind of already talked to Anne, and we are planning on starting along next year, so that project is on hold. However, I am going to have a new start. Listen, y'all, there is so much in my stash that I want to stitch that I am removing projects from the list so that I have some room for these things. And so I guess you could say that I'm done with no new starts. However, Sammy J told me that birthday starts don't count. And since Sammy J makes me do it, this is a birthday start for Cheryl. Cheryl's birthday is in early July, and so I'm starting this for her birthday. And so I went to my stash and I pulled a few things that are sort of standouts to me. And I said, Cheryl, since you're going to make me start something when I'm supposed to not be starting something, you are tasked with choosing. It wasn't quite that severe, but I did say to her, would you mind helping me choose which one I'm going to start? And then I will make this my daily 30 piece for the month of July. See how far I can get on it in just 30 minutes a day, which is just a really cool experiment. And stitch along for Cheryl's birthday. And so she was all about it, and she helped me choose. And what she chose is Stone Street Stitchworks Fireworks on the 4th. And this was a StitchCon 2018 freebie. So I'm not sure if this was an exclusive for StitchCon, but it was nonetheless one of the freebies that we got in our welcome packet last year. How cool is that? So that's it's a really fun design. I really like the firework motif up there. Yeah, I really like this, and I'm really excited that she chose this one. So I'm starting this on July 1st. And I'm going to stitch it on Under the Sea Fabrics Beach Walk. Now, I'm going to have to do some ripping out, and so maybe I'll try to do that before July 1st, because this is what I had originally started Seaside Kingdom by Mirabilia on, and ultimately decided that I would prefer it on white. So I will probably rip out those stitches here in the next couple of days so that I'm ready to go first thing Monday morning to start this for Cheryl's birthday. And so I'm super excited. So Cheryl, thank you for the impetus to have a new start and for helping me choose which one. Now, I guess that I'm done with no new starts. And I guess that I have been since April. I mean, technically. But I'm not going hog wild. I'm not starting a whole bunch of things. I have this new start for July 1st. I have a new start planned for Sammy J's birthday while we're in New Jersey. I have some things that I would like to start in October, and then I'm going to try to cut it off there. I'm limiting the new starts, but it's no longer no new starts. It's liberating. I can't even tell you. It's absolutely liberating. So that is happening. And as far as plans beyond that are concerned, we'll cross those bridges when we get to them. As far as my starting points for Haunted House and, well, I guess you saw Prairie School or Alphabet, but Haunted House, I'll just show you that when we get to that rotation, and we'll go from there. So that is going to do it for the plans. Let's switch over to stash acquisitions. Okay, y'all. First of all, it's been 3 weeks. Second of all, somebody put it so perfectly. If you don't eat the sugar, you don't want the sugar. If you don't buy the stash, you don't want to buy the stash. But since I've bought stash, I have bought stash. So, here we go. And none of this is any particular order. I'll just go through it and we'll see what happens. So, just got finished talking about what Cheryl's making me do. Here's what Cheryl made me buy. This is Abby Rose Designs Let Freedom Ring. I thought for sure she was going to pick this one. This was one of the options. Yeah, I love this. She was giving this away a couple weeks ago, and rather than enter the giveaway, I went out and bought it. Because, yeah, love it. And that calls for a bunch of threads. But nonetheless, beautiful. In the last 3 weeks, I have placed 2 orders with Threads Entwined, with Trish at Threads Entwined. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I kid you not. Both times that I placed an order, within 10 minutes, shipped. I don't even understand the feasibility or the possibility of that. 10 minutes. And one of them was within 7 minutes. Like, it's bananas. Absolutely bananas. And they made it from California to me in the span of 2 days using the regular old postal service. Like, not sure how it happens. So one of the things that I got from her was, of course, Lindy Stitches, A Stitch for Freedom. A Stitch for Sweet Freedom, excuse me. This is one of Stephanie's latest releases, and I fell in love with it immediately. I'm going to stitch it exactly as she tells me to. I'm going to get Belfast linen in sterling. I'm going to get all of these threads exactly as she calls for. There's Weeks Dye Works in here. I don't care. I'm using them. This is beautiful, and I love it, and I love the sentiment. There you have it. This is going all sorts of out of order, so forgive me all. Okay, so up next are the needle minders. I already showed you the Peeping Pepe. Here are a couple more that I got. This one here, it's Too Peoply Outside. This is the Obama I Miss You. You will notice that the battery is at 44%. Love that. Heather sent along a couple of freebies. Cute little hedgehog, a kitty button, and this gorgeous cameo. I love that. Super cool. Thank you, Heather. Those are wonderful. Michelle, Bendy Stitchy, and Audrey, Stitchy42, did a live sort of sale from Starlight Stitchery. I think they're in Corvallis, if I'm not mistaken. Oregon, of course. And yeah, so there were a couple of things that I was like, I shouldn't be here, but me please. And so the first was Love is Little by Ladi Da. And the text reads, love is little, love is low, love will make my spirit grow. Grow in peace, grow in light, love will do the thing that's right. Isn't that sweet? Just a super sweet sentiment. I am obsessed with the frame. This is really gorgeous. And so I love that. So I may please something else. However, somebody got to it before me. And the wonderful gals at Starlight apparently went through the comments on that live sale and saw that I was after this and found another copy. So I said, yes, please. This is Threadwork Primitives Beggar's Night. And I think Olivia B finished this on blue, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if I can do blue and orange together because I live in a Virginia Tech household and orange and blue do not go together in this household. But maybe. We'll see. Super cool. I love that gorgeous white pumpkin and the crow and yep, love. Speaking of the crow or the raven there, I also purchased a Heaven and Earth design in the last 50% off sale. Really, here's what spurred this on. I had been trying not to start or purchase Heaven and Earth designs, and I don't think I have purchased a Haid for myself since summer of last year. So I've done pretty well with that. I've been able to avoid the 50% off sale lure. However, so this one particular day I was doing a Facebook scroll and I happened to see that Amy, Amityville Amy, she had fallen in love with a Raven chart, and I believe it's Moonlit Messenger by Sherry Gerhardt. I think. I could be getting that all wrong. But what that spurred in me was there's a Raven chart on Hade's website that I have coveted for a long time, but never jumped on. And so I did this particular day, 50% off. And so I did buy this chart for myself, and it is Ravenkin by Selena Fennick. So I am going to be starting that on October 1st. Yep, I am planning a Hade start. I don't need another Hade in my life. I have plenty to do, but I am going to start that on October 1st, which is Amityville's birthday. Since she provided the impetus to buy it, I'll start it for her birthday. So there is that. Anybody got a September birthday where I need to start something? Let me know. Okay, so there is that, and you'll have seen a preview of what that's going to look like. Up next are, not Color and Cotton, Gentle Art Sampler threads from my nest egg from Trisha at 3L Threads. I got these weeks ago. I'm not going through them individually. There's a beautiful mix of colors in here, and I love them all. And that's about the extent of it that I'm going through today. But just beautiful Gentle Art Sampler threads, 5-yard cottons. Love, love, love. Also from Trisha was the latest in the Songbirds Garden series. This is Sing for Joy. This is number 10. You'll probably have seen this several times too. Super, super sweet. I think a light green fabric like they've got there. That's Putty from Weeks Dye Works. Y'all know I won't be doing that. But a light green would look really nice for that. I'll have a look. Okay. Let's see here. Let's do these next. While I was on the 24 Hours of Cross Stitch Virtual Stitchers Hangout, one of the ladies there, Joni, she's destashing. She's trying to get rid of some stuff, and I think that Glenna was doing some destashing as well. And so they were like, y'all, let me know if there's anything here that you see that you would be interested in, and I'll be happy to send it to you. I tried to give her money for shipping at the very least, but she wouldn't take it. She wouldn't take it. So there were a few things that jumped out at me. Yep, I love that. And so they came my way. So the first one is Blackbird Designs Strawberry Garden. I am fairly certain that this is out of print. This is Loose Feathers, number 18. Fairly certain that's out of print. I think it's copyright. It's not showing me. I don't have a copyright date. Is there a year on here? Nope. None that I can see. Anyway, I love this. It's beautiful. There's a ton of lazy daisies in this. The vines, all of the leaves on the vines, those are lazy daisies. Yeah. But I can't wait to do this. This is another one that I thought for sure Cheryl would choose because it was one of my options, but she didn't. Next is another one that I'm fairly certain is out of print. This is Beneath the Sunlit Sky, Blackbird Designs Loose Feathers 26. The sea appears all golden beneath the sunlit sky. This is 2007, so I'm yeah, this is probably out of print. But I love it. I think it's gorgeous. I love this side border and this bird and this weird confetti wave thing going. Yeah, this is cool. I like it. So there's that. Super excited. Next is something that I'm going to stitch and then probably send to Kara, Craft Kara. This is Pansies by the Work Basket. Super sweet, isn't it? I think that's really pretty. Oh, it's like that. Wow. Okay. Gorgeous. I love that. And then here's something that I've been coveting. Plum Street Samplers, Salem Sisters. Sisters of mine, we've done no crime yet. Here we go to hangin'. Y'all have heard that, and I am tripping over words. I can't wait to do this. This is maybe going on my list for October. Okay, let's go back to the threads entwined. In addition to a stitch for Sweet Freedom, I got something that Diana made me buy. This is about the extent of my participation in the Magical Moth Sale. Although since I'm not doing no starts anymore, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So the Magical Moth Sale, it is Kismet, got it going, and Amy Baruch. And since Market, this is one of the things that I have wanted, but I knew that if I bought it, I would start it. And this is back when I was trying to be no starts. Maybe. We'll see. That's under consideration. That chart is beautiful. Kathy Barrick. Also came along with that Threads Entwined order is a skein of Caterpillar from Classic Colorworks. Beautiful. I need this for a stitch for Sweet Freedom, so that's pretty cool. No chart should travel alone, and when I bought the Abbey Rose, I bought Blackbird Designs Our Lasting Friendship. Nicole from Nicole's Needlework said don't sleep on the Blackbird Designs books, and so I'm not. I'm going to acquire them, especially the ones where I have things I want to stitch. And this, it's just a bigger picture of the same one on the cover. I would like to stitch that a lot, very much so. So yeah, there's that. And there's several designs in here that don't make the cover. This is the Shepherd's Bush Pin Cushion. Y'all have seen this. This was a market release. Is it just the three? Yeah, just the three projects. Oh, it is on the cover. It's right there. Use your eyes, Jess. There you go. So there's Our Lasting Friendship. That's a good one. Project bags. I have a slight addiction to project bags currently. So here's one. This is Emily from Eclectic Possessions. This is her line of Momily bags. She calls this the Belinda bag, and it's beautiful. Super, super summery. I have in here my Rose Fairy by Joan Elliott because Belinda and Joan Elliott, those two things go hand in hand. My Joan Elliott July's stitching sister. So that's where that lives. Oh, and y'all have to see the inside fabric that she picked for this. Look at that. Oh, it's so good. It's like mustard yellow, but a bright version. Beautiful. I love that so much. Y'all be proud of me. We went to Goodwill. We were on our way home from dinner. We stopped at Goodwill. And I was like, I want to go see if they've got any frames. And Danny was like, they're not going to have any frames. Y'all, they have all of the frames. So many frames. I could spend a boatload of money in there picking up frames. But I got one. So, I mean, technically, for my purposes, this is just the frame and the mat if I choose to use it. And it's this really, really pretty. It needs to be cleaned up. It's a little dusty, but it's got a really pretty detailing on the inside. And it looks in pretty good condition. And it was $5. So, get some framing done on this. I'm pretty excited to have found this. I think that what's going to go in here, I'll keep that a secret. I'll keep that to myself. So the last piece of haul that I have to show you today is the Color and Cotton mini mystery box for the 4th of July, the Stars and Stripes. I was advised to not sleep on the mystery boxes from Angela. I 1000% agree. I started with a mini. I didn't get Christmas or Halloween from last year, and I kicked myself. a lot for both of those. And so I wasn't going to miss out on this one. And I am so enthused and excited about everything that's in this box. So let me show you. So I'm going to go through this real quick, but several people have already done unboxings. And so this is just going to be a real quick run through. So the first thing is some Kona cotton. This is a finishing fabric in a gorgeous mottled navy blue. That's beautiful. I love that. I was in a fury to order this, and so I accidentally got 28 count cachet linen because that was just the auto response. I debated. I was going to message Angel and be like, can I switch? But I just decided, nope, my mistake. So this is 28 count cachet linen. I'll still use it, and it's beautiful. I wonder if I should use this for my firework on the 4th. Maybe. We'll see. So this is it's called 1776, and it's meant to look like parchment. This is my first piece of color and cotton fabric. And it's just gorgeous. It really does look like old parchment. Yeah. Gorgeous. Love. Much love. Okay. Next, we're going to go through the rest of these things fairly quickly. We have a silk in Spacious Skies, soft blue, and a silk ribbon without a color name, but it's a very pretty red. Next, we have the explosive cottons. And this is my favorite because it's called Betsy Floss, and I love that. Amber Waves, Valor, Old Glory Red, Shining Sea, and Old Glory Blue. And these may go into my fireworks on the 4th as well. And then some doodads, these gorgeous scissors. They're heavy. They're really heavy. And a needle minder provided by Mad for Minders. It is Betsy Ross. I have to remember to call her Betsy Ross. Also gorgeous. And I love the wood laser cut minders. Those are my absolute favorites nowadays. So super, super excited about that. Do not sleep on the color and cotton boxes, y'all. So worth it. Worth so much more than what you actually pay for it. I'm just saying. Yeah, that's pretty great. So that is going to be it as far as the haul is concerned. This video is super long. And so I have decided that I am going to actually hold off on the books and the knitting until next time. I just can't tack it on to this one. This has been pretty extensive enough on its own. And so this will be a great little stitching movie for you guys for this weekend and the week to come. And then next week will be another one where I talk about what I work on over these next few days, as well as my plans for these various events. And then I will be sure to talk books and knitting next time. But I can't, in good conscience, I can't talk about it today. So with that, everybody, I am going to head off. I've got a big editing task ahead of me. I hope that you are all well. I hope that you're stitching. Everybody take care. As always, be kind. I'll see y'all next time.